Last video, we are going to do the very opposite of what we did in the previous one, where now we're given the equation and we want to explain the transformation. So that means we're going to be saying, is it stretched? Is it compressed? By how much? Is it reflected? And is it moving up or down? And if so, by how much is it moving up or down? So let's look at that first one. So first, I like to see, okay, is this reflected? And I know it's reflected if there's a negative out here. There is not a negative in front of my 1/2, so I know it's not reflected. Next, I go and move on my slope. And so I know my slope tells me if it's going to be stretched or compressed. And since this one's 1/2, my slope is less than 1. It's actually between 0 and 1. And so because of that, that means that this one is compressed. And I would write compressed by a factor of 1/2. Because remember, when it's a fraction between 0 and 1, that means it's compressed. If it was bigger than 1, then it'd be stretched. Okay, and then I have this plus b at the ends, and this tells me whether it's moving up or down. Since it's plus, that means that my b is moving up. And so to write that transformation, I would just say up 6 units. Okay, let's try the next one. So here, again, I'm going to look to see whether my slope is negative, and I see it is. I have a negative out in front. So right off, I can say that this is reflected the y-axis over the y-axis, or in the y-axis. I've reflected across the y-axis. That's probably better wording. Okay, next I'm going to look at my slope, and I see that my slope is 2. And so it's really tempting to see there's a -2 there, and so it's less than 1, so it's compressed. However, we actually forget about the negative when we're looking at stretched or compressed. We're only looking at the number. And since 2 is bigger than 1, that means that this one will actually be stretched. So I'm going to say stretched by a factor of 2. And then last, I'm going to look at my b value, and I see that it's a -4, so that means that my b value is going down. So to say that, I can say down 6 units. And so this one, compared to the parent function h of x equals x, I would say, well, first it's reflected across the y-axis, it's stretched by a factor of 2, and then also went down 6 units. Okay, let's try this next one. This next one looks a little bit different. I see that it's in standard form instead of slope-intercept form. And so whenever this happens, I actually need to switch it over to slope-intercept form first before I can tell what transformations happened. And so that means I'm going to first subtract 3x from both sides. Since for slope-intercept form, I need y to be by itself. And then I'm going to divide everything by -2. So -3 divided by -2, those negatives actually cancel each other out, so I just get a positive 3/2 x. And then 8 divided by -2, I get -4. Okay, so my first step, I'm going to look to see if my slope is negative, and I see it is not, so I know it's not reflected. Next, I go ahead and look at the slope. So here I see that my slope is 3/2. I see it's a fraction, so that automatically makes me think, oh, it's compressed. However, we need to be careful. I need to make sure for it to be compressed, it needs to be a fraction between 0 and 1, or basically less than 1. This one is not. This one, 3/2 is actually bigger than 1, so that means that this one's stretched. So I would say stretched by a factor of 3/2. Okay, next I look at see my b value. I see my b value here is -4, and since it's negative, I am going down. So that means I can say down 4 units. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and I want you to try that last one. Okay, so your answer for that last one should have been that first it's reflected across the y-axis, and I saw that because I had a negative out in front of my slope. And then I also said it's stretched by a factor of 4/3. So again, that one we had to be careful. 4/3 is bigger than 1, so this one's a stretch. And now this one didn't have a b value, and so there's really just a +0 at the end there. And so because of that, that one didn't move up or down, so I didn't have to write anything for that. Okay, that's it for today. If you have any questions, you can please inbox me and I'd be happy to help. If you want to look at some extra examples, those are linked below. Otherwise, you can go ahead and move on to the assignment. I hope you guys have a great day.